Welcome to Timberline Bass Podcast, your place for Wisconsin bass fishing and everything outdoors.
Hey, folks, welcome to another episode of Timberline Bass Podcast. This week's going to be a little different. I'm going to record. I'm in the boat. I got a tournament tomorrow. It's been a crazy couple weeks. So I'm trying to kill a couple birds with one stone here. So I'm going to be tying stuff on and organizing the boat while we do this, and we'll see how it goes. It could be an absolute shit show. Today's episode I wanted to do on shaky heads. It's kind of one of them things that was really popular for the longest time, sort of fell out of vogue a little bit. But there's a lot of old timers out there that are still throwing them. They're still a fish catching bait. I mean, I throw it a lot, and I know there's a lot of tournaments that guys do good on them too. I know in my co-angler episode, I brought that up as a good bait to be thrown behind the boat. It's sort of that, finessey, can be power fished. I think that's part of what I love so much about the shaky head is it's very versatile. You can throw it on a bait caster with a heavy head. You can throw it on a spinning rod. You can BFS fish it if you're running a little bit lighter wire hook. It's just kind of a catch-all, do-all. I'm sorry, my computer is a little bit farther away from me. My phone's in the window, so I have internet out in the garage. So I have to read notes on a tiny little screen So yeah, while we're doing this too, maybe I'll touch on some of the stuff I'm doing in the boat while we're recording and kind of go from there. So I'll kind of define what a shaky head is first, because that's one thing I noticed too. Like, there's a very traditional mindset with it, but like a lot of things, I kind of make it my own. Maybe it'll be helpful to some people. It works for me. I mean, you don't use it, you hurt my feelings, but um. So typically, I'm gonna try not to moon anybody. A shaky head is a stand-up jig head, and the thought process behind it is, well, originally to hold a worm stand up, kind of give it that presentation where it looks like a bait fish or something like that rooting around down on the bottom. It has definitely evolved from there. Here, I'll kind of give some examples here. This is my favorite shaky head spot remover. When them are hard to find, I get the dirty jigs. I think they call it like a horseshoe head or something. I mean, if you look, it's just a very, flat bottom, and then you got the bait keeper there. I don't like the Texas rig style ones. It just seems to hold the bait kind of funny. Granted, these can too. I mean, you definitely got to watch it when you're rigging them. Actually, I even got a worm floating around in the bottom of the boat. I can kind of give an example of how I rig it. Here, I'm gonna get closer. Um, so you just thread it on the bait keeper. Sorry, no, this is pretty basic shit. Like I said, there's a bunch of different styles. You've got these flat ones. I have seen almost like a swing head style. But to me, I'll just throw a biffle head or a swing head or whatever and be done with it if that's what I want to do. And then there's football style. There's some guys even just use a ball head. I think they all have their place. So yeah, goes on there. And then normally I cheat. I take the hook, see where it's going to line up on the bait itself. And that's where I want my hook to punch through. Bring it through like that. And then, if you're not fishing anywhere you're going to get snagged, you could leave it just like that. It wouldn't really hurt anything. But then I just text pose it. And then when it's on the bottom, it just kind of stands up like that. And as you hop it, it looks like something rooting around in the bottom. Um, so we'll start out with just the worms on a shaky head. This is a robo worm. I am very partial to using those on a shaky head. Um, but the robo worms I have, I don't know if they make a floating one. I could have swore they did, but the ones I have sink. Um, so it definitely is more of how you're working the bait to get the action out of it. Um, but a lot of times too, sorry, you guys are gonna spend a lot of time looking at my butt and crotch, unfortunately, because I'm doing stuff. Um, a lot of times, like I'll throw the Z-Man or some sort of floating plastic or Laztech or something along those lines, just to kind of help hold it straight up as I'm working it on the bottom, especially if it's a scenario where you're definitely more focused on soaking, very slow finesse fishing. Um, but the other thing too, you can get away from a worm. I will at times throw a fluke on there if I'm definitely more trying to mimic a bait fish of some kind, rooting around on the bottom. Um, you know, you can do a craw. Like every once in a while, I'll throw a spine craw on there, just because it's that longer profile, um, and it just seems to fit very well with a shaky head. See if I can do this without scratching up my computer screen. Um, so yeah, I mean, a shaky head is definitely a very, very versatile bait. You know, other things that work really well with a shaky head. Like I said, there's times I will actually tie it on a bait caster, throw it around brush and stuff like that on heavy line on a bigger stick. Uh, but it also does really shine throwing around grass edges or even in the grass. I mean, if you're going with style like I showed, you're pretty weedless with that. So I'll work like pockets of the grass and stuff like that. Um, Works really good around wood or lay down stuff like that. You can skip them. They don't skip the greatest, but it can be done. Um, like I said, pretty much an all around kind of versatile thing. Um, I'm sorry, it's I haven't shot an episode in a few days. We had a vacation, so I had some episodes preloaded and stuff. I'm kind of out of my habit here with doing this. So please forgive me and be patient. And it doesn't help that I'm trying to do a bunch of other shit. Right? I'm trying to tell you people. Um, so yeah, more. So as far as actually working a shaky head, um, like I said, it's definitely in my mind style bait. Uh, I definitely like to let it sit. Definitely not one you want to overwork a lot. Um, you also almost drag it like you would a um, Carolina. That if I'm fishing grapple bar, bed, or something like that, that's a really fit way of doing it. I'll drag it 2, 3 feet, just kind of let it sit. Take the slack a little bit, and just feel. Most of your bites come with just sitting there. Um, it works really good chunk rock and big boulders and stuff too. Um, they do hang up a lot, but I mean, Shaky head jigs are relatively reasonable priced. I think I pay like $6 or $7 for three of them. If you watch them on Omnia, you can find them on sale. They only come in a 3-pack. The only sizes I really use are quarter ounce and 3/16, and if I get my hands on some lighter ones, I will. But need to be so I can pick my battles there. Again, you can counter the weight of the itself just by playing with plastics. If you're using a floating plastic, um, it doesn't hurt if they're heavier. Uh, it's kind of one of them all around things. That's one of my or tea all over the book. It's fantastic. Uh, Definitely one of my um confidence based I'm struggling. Like if I really have a rough day or a rough derby, I pretty much always have a shaky head on. Well, that saved my ass a lot of time getting fish. Um, it just seems to be one of the things, pretty much productive anywhere. I've yet to find a place I don't catch. Um, we'll get into some of the top classes. Like I said, I really do like throwing a roll. Uh, First people would think of. They've got the like that. I'll throw the smaller one under too. Um, Myself, big top number. Yeah, I forget what the heck they call the other ones. Um, they're more of a drop shot or a lip ones, but they work all right. If you're going for a smaller profile. Of course, you can't about like classic, the Zoom trick worm. I mean, that's a lot of people. It's quintessential fake head worm. Um, I'm also really not scared to interfere with control. Small amount of potential worm. Um, Definitely, but something that they want. Um, that frequent. They're yeah, but a great on good nail on them. Bad luck on them. Definitely not ever would have thought to throw on a big head, but it was one of the things I was fishing with. I had done my best for and ran out of sheet head worm. So I said, "What the hell? I'll throw one of these on." It happens, and she ended up taking rats and worms. So, yeah, a lot. The easier to try to always a lot of the things we have is people step out their comfort zone and get with it. A lot of times, from not seeing it, that can definitely be a thing. Um, Plastic, but through fluke there, I can always imagine. I probably go for natural presentation to make it more than anything else. Um, But so if I'm doing a fluke, I will definitely try to get a little shiner or whatever that word smell would be best. Um, that would put it in the cement. I think So what Zoom or Zoom version of food or like somewhere between 5 and 7 just something so maybe work with kids. Um, tell some through like uh, they there that good around that stuff like that. I I definitely not anything big. I think so much on it. So versatile there too. You know, the fact that games goes on for the more weird subtle action and I guess the other thing we could talk about a little bit is work ethic. Like to another thing you do, you can throw them like working a little bit and fall back down, um, breathe a little bit to feel great, which is really is no wrong way to finish shaky. And I think that's what makes it personal. You're paying to do it, but there's no reason you won't have to another another thing too. Uh, even if that's there's no real bottom of the mud flat, whatever. What's going on? But can't give up, like actually for some uh, perfect day, anything. Uh, also, if you've got filters or whatever, they get the action take the best path. You make that decision. I want to fight it. I want to leave it alone. Um, so you have to grab a water, liquid, and eat it up for crap. So, um, pepper, uh, uh, think like whatever with rain. Yeah, probably much it might like much, but like um, uh, just, and make my own. Just around uh, small things in the future. Um, mapping for apps, it goes on the sketchy side. But understand is shade lights to be a big thing for a reason. And we're pretty predicated on that. Uh, and it's somewhat of a bad light to some uh, product, uh, that's some good stuff about that. And probably but we go through uh, so I had a care and rather than all our whole back and my screw the internal top to the swivel other cut hole over I'll just wrap this for the next time uh, yeah so uh, okay. But, yeah, what I do is so I'm going to get able to uh, to last episode I did was you know get out of a funk here in the game. Um, necessarily know that I'm here yet. Fortunately, it's been a busy couple weeks going on at work. Uh, personal life, figure a bunch of stuff out. Uh, so one thing I want to point out is jellyfish. I get down on myself a lot because it's not my focus, which, you know, it's not for most people. Uh, Sorry, folks. No idea what happened there. Like I said, I'm recording out in my garage and using my phone for the internet, and it randomly decided to cut out on me. So I have no idea how much of that we got or didn't get, or really what the hell's going on. Um, So yeah, I guess what I was getting at, I don't know if we caught it or not, my final cast, it is okay to go through parts in your life or stages or seasons or however you creatively want to say it, where the things you loved hobby wise and stuff like that aren't your priority. There's definitely times in life where you got to focus on other things. And while it hurts and while it's hard sometimes, I mean, it is what it is. You got to get through your stuff so you can enjoy what you do. Um, and I guess that's where I'm at. I'm trying to get back to enjoying fishing, and hopefully the rest of you can, if anybody's struggling, do the same. Thank you for watching the Timberline Bass Podcast. Please like, share, subscribe, tell your friends, comment, all that normal stuff. Thank you very much for your support.